reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So, Sean, there are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engaging them. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
So then Gavin Newsom addressed this MAGA Republican talking point on COVID and COVID restrictions and threw it right back in Ron DeSantis's face. Quite literally. Play the clip.
Remember,
Open,
Sean,
you are closed.
If it's okay with you, we'll do this.
Why were you closed?
Why don't we do
for
this
so
in a
long?
way where we both can have
Why were you closed
opportunity?
for so long?
You wore
You
a
were
mask
closed.
with
Guys,
Donald Trump
closed.
outside
I'm trying to let it breathe.
in September
Gavin,
2020. He did all of that
Newsom.
until he decided to fall prey to the fringe of his party. And as a consequence of that, Ron, tens of thousands of people lost their lives.
Not true.
The equivalent, if I had your policies, the equivalent of 10 9/11s. Tens of thousands of people lost their lives. And for what, Ron?
Those are more lies. In fact, the Lancet just did a study. Florida had a lower standardized COVID death rate than California did. That's a Lancet study. One more thing.
29% higher COVID
The other
death
thing
rate
we
in the
had,
state of
the other
California.
thing
You didn't even come
California
close.
had,
Your
California
record
had
is one
higher
of
excess
failure
mortality
on
than.
COVID.
All right,
than
gentlemen,
Florida. Let me talk about the excess mortality real quick.
Honestly,
because the
hold on a
excess
second.
mortality
because
is other things.
I want to ask you both. Slow down. I want everyone to be heard. If I can ask you, I really.
Next, on the MAGA Republican talking point that everybody's fleeing California and blue states to go to Florida, Gavin Newsom just pointed out the facts and the data, saying it's going to be a fun fact check for you when you learn that actually more people are coming from Florida to California. Watch this.
Great opening statement, but
Didn't
it
answer
did not
the question.
It
I mean,
didn't
I think-
address the issue. Can you explain this migration out of California and going to red state, blue state?
Well, hold on. You mean the last 2 years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to Florida?
No, I put up on. I put
That's
up on
just,
the
by the
screen.
way, that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates, size of 21 state populations combined. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. We dominate, number one manufacturing state. We dominate in two-way trade and research and development, access to innovation, more scientists, more researchers, more engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation, the finest system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science and biotech and nanotechnology. We dominate in green tech. We dominate in high tech. We dominate in artificial intelligence. So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis to be bashing a state of 40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
Well, that's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say.
And pro-democracy Governor Gavin Newsom took the upper hand on immigration and explained how callous and the callous disregard for life that DeSantis has, that DeSantis's so-called immigration policies are built on cruelty, and how hypocritical Governor DeSantis is. Play the clip.
From our own Border Patrol, are the American people being lied to?
I don't think they're being lied to. The Biden administration put out a comprehensive plan day one when he got sworn into office 3 years ago, and the Republican Party didn't touch it. They haven't moved on it. They play politics with us. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's probably one person I wouldn't listen to on this topic more than the guy that I'm standing next to, Ron DeSantis. He lacks any credibility on the issue of immigration. When he was in Congress, he supported amnesty. When he's in Congress, you supported John Boehner's bill. It's a fact. When you were in Congress, you supported Obama's. You supported Obama's efforts to advance comprehensive reform. The last guy you want to talk to on the issue of immigration, your immigration policy can best be described as a governor from the state of Florida going into another state, the state of Texas, lying to migrants, promising them jobs and housing, sending them to an island, Martha's Vineyard, and then sending them to a parking lot in Sacramento, California. I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying. So again, a guy who stands here, who's been out on the Republican debate stage saying, well, he's going to be tough, he's going to shoot people with backpacks, and that he has a strategy to potentially even invade our second largest trading partner, Mexico, that has a record of supporting amnesty and supporting reforms under the Obama administration, is the last guy to be standing on stage talking about the issue of immigration reform tonight.
Well, I'll tell you.
And here Governor Newsom says, you're trying to out-Trump Trump, but how's that working for you? You're down by 41% in your own state, Ron. Play the clip.
By the way, do you see that risk, Governor Newsom?
Hold on.
Governor,
I mean,
do you see the risk?
Joe Biden put out not only a comprehensive plan, he consistently puts up plans. Hold on, no, but Sean,
is there a risk?
I'm going to answer your question. I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need.
I understand that.
I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state. On the issue of immigration, Joe Biden put...
The next issue that was discussed was the issue of crime. One of the MAGA Republican talking points is that there's all this crime in Democratic states and Democratic cities. And as Gavin Newsom points out, is that that's just belied by the data. If you go into Florida, if you go into red states, red counties, red cities, statistically, there is more crime, more murders, higher death rates, and other serious issues in red states. And again, this is what we talk about all the time on the Midas Touch Network. So I was glad that Governor DeSantis took the upper hand here and just said, no, you all have way more crime. What are you talking about? Play the clip.
And security, I would argue, is a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We're near 50-year lows, down 55% violent crimes in the state of California from the 1990s. And I want to compare and contrast that with the issue in Florida that you didn't mention, and that's the murder rate. And let's broaden it more broadly. The issue is 7 of the top 10.
Those numbers were part of the murder rate.
7 of the top 10 murder rates in the United States of America are red states. He has a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. He has a higher murder rate. Go to places like Jacksonville. Go to places like Orlando. Go to places like Tampa. The murder rate's off the charts compared to cities like San Francisco. And you know what? Even more egregiously, Sean, and I think this is important, the American people deserve an answer from you, Ron. You had one of the worst mass shootings in American history, Parkland. 17 kids were gunned down, lives lost, 17 others, lives torn asunder. You had a young girl by the name of Jamie Gutenberg, whose father pleaded with you to do something about it. And you know what you did? You did the exact opposite. You made it easier for felons to get guns without background checks, without any training. These people pleaded with the parents and the families to get tough on gun safety. And again, you made it easier for felons. He said of you, Ron, and I agree with him, after you signed that concealed carry bill, which increases the likelihood, Fred Gutenberg said, of more Jamies losing their lives and more Parklands, he called you weak, pathetic, and small. So with respect, I appreciate you're talking to police officers in the state of California. You may want to spend a little bit more time, not on the Ohio Trail and other places across this country. You may spend a little more time back in your home state and address the murder and gun violence in your own backyard.